friends. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have noticed that I like to post about endometriosis, and that's because I'm trying to raise awareness. March was Endometriosis Awareness Month, and I know I missed that slightly, but I wanted to come on here, as awkward or uncomfortable as it may feel, to share a little bit about my story, because when I was diagnosed with endometriosis, unfortunately, it took me 10 years to get diagnosed. And by the time I was diagnosed with stage 4, which is the most severe stage of the disease. Sadly, my story is not uncommon. It's estimated that between around 1 in 10 people with female organs have endometriosis, and the average that it can take to diagnose in the US is around 7 to 10 years. That is just completely unacceptable. And in my case, unfortunately, the damage was done where it had spread so much and caused damage, in some cases permanent damage to organs. And I just want to do my part to help anyone else go through that pain and suffering, because no one should have to suffer for 10 years without a diagnosis and then find out, oh, by the way, you're at a point where this is actually like severe and is now affecting the function of your organs permanently. Like, that is not cool at all. So what is endometriosis? Endometriosis is where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus occurs outside of the uterus, and it can grow and it can spread. And like I mentioned, there's different stages. So depending on the severity of where it is, how deep it has infiltrated those organs, and just how, severely it's spread, it can be staged to different stages. What are some of the symptoms? You might have heard of some of these. Some of them might be more, this might be new to you. But one of the most common symptoms of endometriosis is heavy and painful periods, and pelvic pain in general. Pelvic pain and period pain that impacts your life, whether it's on your period or not. If you are calling out sick, if you are struggling in work or school because of your pain and because of pelvic pain, that is not normal. Even if it's on your period, that is not normal. And that is a huge flag for endometriosis. So heavy periods, painful periods, pelvic pain even outside of your period. For me personally, I had it affecting different organs as well, which is why I feel like I had some of these symptoms. But like I said, so much more research needs to be done. So GI issues, recurrent GI issues is common in people who have endometriosis affecting either their bowel or their rectum, any part of their GI tract. And this typically falls into two main different symptom types. So people either struggle with constipation and struggling to go to the bathroom, or they have the opposite of that, which is, I personally was on this side of things, where you're struggling with diarrhea, you're struggling with the strong urge to go to the bathroom, like lack of ability to control. You're struggling with pain while going to the bathroom. So a lot of people get misdiagnosed with GI issues, or they're diagnosed, they end up having both. But this can be a huge sign that the endo can be affecting your GI tract in some way. A similar thing can happen with the bladder. So endometriosis can be found on the bladder. For me, it was found on my ureters as well. And it can affect your urinary your urinary tract. So I experienced symptoms such as pain going to the bathroom, frequency going to the bathroom, kind of like UTI symptoms, but you might do the tests and the UTI is coming back negative. For me personally, the largest symptom that I struggled with is severe fatigue. And this is something I still experience to this day. I'm talking about getting plenty of sleep and not feeling rested in the morning. And I'm talking every single day. So you can probably see why people tend to be misdiagnosed with different things, because when each of these symptoms occur, you don't necessarily think to point it back to something like endo. So that's why I think it's so important to raise awareness that this is a full body chronic inflammatory disease, and it can affect all of these different areas. One of the symptoms I had also, which is not necessarily standard, but was a huge sign that something was wrong, was actually fainting and passing out. And this would happen to me. And it got to the point where like I severely knew something was wrong and I was very concerned. It's obviously concerning to lose consciousness, especially when you live by yourself or are by yourself when it's happening and you're hitting your head, you're hurting yourself. And to go to the doctor and not get any answers for why that's happening is just extremely alarming. So again, those were my main symptoms that I struggled with. Chronic pelvic pain, extremely heavy periods. Like I said, pelvic pain both outside your cycle, but also on your cycle. For me, the severe fatigue and just not feeling rested, feeling like extremely groggy in the mornings, despite getting plenty of sleep. And for me, it was also despite going through an actual sleep study and all of that coming back normal. And then also, like I said, for me, these episodes where I would be dizzy and lose consciousness, for me, that tended to occur around my period as well. So I know this is a long video and I appreciate it if you're still watching. Those are in no way all of the symptoms, but that you could experience, but those are some of the most common. Like I said, the dizziness and fainting is, from my research, a little less common. But I think it was just a sign that the endometriosis had grown so severely and was tugging on my organs and just causing me a severe amount of pain. So I hope that this is somewhat helpful. I hope that you learned something. If you did watch all the way through, I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to post more. Again, it's awkward and uncomfortable to do this, but I really appreciate it if you've watched, and I'll share some resources either in the comments or in the description of this video. Thank you.